In what is now part of Gloria Molina Grant Park, the shortest railway in the world, called Court Flight, operated in downtown Los Angeles from 1905 until 1943, much like the more famous Angel's Flight does. Samuel Vandergrift partnered with Robert E. Blackburn to start the Observation Tower Company, which built the Court Flight Incline Railway to run from Broadway between Temple and First Streets to Court Street, which is about where Hill Street is today. Construction started in 1904 and began operation on September 24, 1905. It replaced a 141-step wooden staircase. At the foot of the railway were three buildings: Hotel Ohio, Court Terrace Apartments, and Hotel Broadway, that were merged into one structure that became the new Hotel Broadway in 1909 by the McCarthy Company. It was on the site of what is now the Los Angeles County Hall of Records. Two wooden cars could take 14 passengers each at a time up or down Bunker Hill, and 5 cents could get you a round-trip ticket. At the top, they could climb into the observation tower, which was the highest point in the city until the new City Hall was built in 1928. Sam Vandergrift operated the railway for about 28 years, and after he died on December 29, 1932, his wife Annie took over operation until 1943. She petitioned to the Board of Public Utilities to discontinue service on September 15, 1942, which they granted. The California Railroad Commission on January 26, 1943 also granted permission to abandon operation. Mrs. Vandergrift's reasons for ceasing operation were a sharp decrease in riders and a difficult time finding workers. It was World War II when many people were taking jobs for the war effort. The abandoned Court Flight was destroyed on October 19, 1943, when a discarded lit cigarette burned the railway and surrounding brush. Occasionally, the vertical railways had some criticism. For example, on April 3, 1914, J. H. McGuire, the city elevator inspector, reported on 3 of them. He mentioned the Angel's Flight was okay, that Court Flight is positively a menace to life and limb, and Washington Heights was not properly equipped. Court Flight must have fixed whatever early issues they had to continue to transport for so many more years. Bunker Hill, where the 2 flights were located, was developed by Prudent Beaudry and Stephen Mott, who owned most of the land in 1867. One of the main streets were named Bunker Hill Avenue after the American Revolutionary War battle in Boston. Eventually, the neighborhood took on the name after the street. It became a wealthy neighborhood with development of many Victorian homes, but by World War II, many of the wealthy moved out. The structures were subdivided for rentals and low-income rental buildings were added, making it LA's most crowded neighborhood at the time. It quickly became one of the poorest neighborhoods. It was eventually deemed a high crime area and a health hazard by the city. In the 1940s and the 1950s, city planners and political policies decided to clear out the slum. They displaced everyone from the neighborhood and removed a portion of the hill to make way for skyscrapers. A centralized park was developed in 1957 where Court Flight had existed, and was completed as a Civic Center Mall in 1966. Eventually, the area was incorporated into what has become the Gloria Molina Grant Park. It is now the site of the Court of Historic American Flags, created in 1971.